Hi, my name's Emma and I run The Dating Mermaid. You can find more of my stuff, such as my blogs and products, at my website, which is thedatingmermaid.com. Now, in this video, I just wanted to talk about the 3 painful mistakes that I think some women make when they're rejected. I also want to give you some suggestions on how to avoid them if you're making them. Right, so let's have a little look at these 3 mistakes. Mistake number 1. Assuming there's something wrong with you if a man rejects you. Mistake number 2. Obsessing about getting closure from him. And mistake number 3. Desperately trying to get an ex back without objectively assessing him first to see whether he's a good option. So how can you avoid making these 3 painful mistakes if you're making them? I'm now going to move on to give you suggestions in terms of what you can say to yourself or what you can do in relation to each of these 3 mistakes to make sure you avoid them. So mistake number 1, assuming there is something wrong with you. Right, here are some things that you can tell yourself to make yourself feel better. They are true, by the way. So first of all, your worth is not based on what a man does or doesn't do. His behaviour has nothing to do with your worth. Your worth is exactly the same, irrespective of how else he behaves. Secondly, your worth is not based on your relationship status. Whether you're in a relationship or whether you're single, your worth is the same because you are the same individual. You don't automatically get better just because you're in a relationship. Your worth is based on who you are, how you behave, and what you achieve, and other such qualities. Always remember that other people's behaviour and your relationship status doesn't change your worth. Finally, you need to tell yourself that you're just not a match for this individual. That's it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't tell yourself that there's something wrong with you. Please remind yourself that you are absolutely perfect for the right man. What you can also do is remind yourself of why you are a really great partner. You potentially can get your notebook out and start listing all the qualities that you have. What you can also do, this is quite important, is focus on learning to like yourself. It's really important that you get your own approval. In fact, it's more important you get your own approval than the approval of others. Right, let's look at mistake number 2. So this is when people obsess about getting closure. These are some things that you can tell yourself if you are obsessing about getting closure. You can tell yourself that closure would be nice, but it's not essential to move on, because that's true. You can tell yourself that you don't need explanations or apologies to move on. What people often do is they tell themselves they need closure or they tell themselves they need apologies. If you're an individual that does that, the only person that's setting that criteria for your happiness is you. You're the one telling yourself, this is what I need. Whereas if you change what you're saying to yourself and just saying, look, it would be nice if I had that, but I don't need it, then you're going to feel an awful lot better. You're going to release yourself from these chains that you are applying to yourself. What you can also tell yourself is that your ex is just one man and his opinions do not represent all men. So don't worry, even if your ex is saying negative things to you, it doesn't mean that other men feel exactly the same. Other men will be interested in you in the future. If you're also obsessing about getting closure, learn to trust your own judgment. People who want closure are often basing their happiness on the words of other people. They're overvaluing the opinions of other people, and normally because they don't trust their own judgment. So in this situation, it's important that you learn to trust your own judgment, just so you can feel better. And finally, you might want to identify the exact words that you want your ex to say to make yourself feel better, and then say them to yourself repeatedly. You might even want to write them down, and then just say them to yourself every day. The final mistake, if you are desperately trying to get your ex back without objectively assessing whether they are somebody of worth. Now, I wouldn't advise you trying to get your ex back anyway. I think it's really important whenever people break up or if somebody rejects you, it's always important to kind of step back and kind of take some time to self-reflect and kind of go quiet. That's quite important, just so you kind of think it through of what your next move is, so you become more objective. Anyway, if this is what you're trying to do, you look at this little first point here, you need to take some time to think about whether your ex is actually a good option. When we've just broken up with somebody, we often have rose-tinted glasses about that individual, and that can really cloud our judgment. So I would advise just take the time to just sit back and think, is this ex really worth it? Is this ex really somebody of worth, or are my emotions kind of clouding my judgment at the moment? Because in many instances, that will be the case. Another thing I'd say to you is never chase a man who has rejected you. Never. Some women do this, but they don't realise that men are turned off by this. They don't really like women that chase them if they've rejected them. What tends to happen is they lose respect for these women, and what happens also is it confirms their decision. So before, they might have been thinking, oh, maybe I made the wrong decision here, maybe I shouldn't have broken up with her. But if a woman chases him and he starts to lose respect for her, it solidifies that decision in his head. So before he might have been doubting himself, and now he's not. And finally, please be aware that some men only realise what they have when it's gone. And your ex may be one of those. And there may be a chance that even now he's kind of sitting there thinking, oh, I really do regret doing that. I really do regret breaking up with her. And finally, please get out there and meet other people, especially men, especially good men. At this point, when you feel rejected, you can often feel really bad about yourself. So it's important to take the time to go out there and meet new people and find people that make you feel wanted. Find people that make you feel like you're somebody of worth. Don't be sitting around worrying about other people that rejected you. That is in the past. Now it's time to move on and focus on feeling better about yourself again. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Hopefully you've taken some points from it. Let me know what you think of the contents of this video in the comments box below. It'd be really interesting to hear those. If you're interested in reading some of my blogs, then pop over to my website, thedatingmermaid.com. If you're interested in checking out my dating, relationship or breakup recovery toolkits, then just pop over to my Etsy store. You can find that at www.thedatingmermaid.etsy.com. Thanks for listening. Bye now.